Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. Today, we are going over some tips and tricks that you can use with the Glacite tunnels. I made a full video on the Glacite tunnels back when it was on the alpha server, so make sure to check that out. There should be a card up on the screen right now. But today we're going to go over fairy soul locations and some more tips and tricks. So smash the like button, smash the sub button, and let's jump into it. Alright, so the first trick is when you type /warp mines, try to avoid typing anything afterwards, or if you have the /warp base or /warp forge, whichever one is going to get you closer to the tunnel area, make sure to have that saved because you can click T and then up and it will go ahead and have it typed ready for you. And one of the tricks to actually get rid of your cold is to have ender pearls in your hotbar. So you can go to an area like this right here, and you see I have -2 cold right now. Of course, you wouldn't want to do this at this point. Probably do it around -50 or -75. Even -25 is a good option. You'll hit T to open your chat right after you throw the pearl, and then up arrow. So we throw the pearl, and then we do all that really quickly. It lagged right there, so we're going to try again. Throw the pearl, do all that real quickly, and then we're back here, and we have 0 cold. So what that does is when you warp to the base, it resets your cold. Or if you warp to the forge or literally anywhere else, it will reset your cold to 0. And then the ender pearl lands and teleports you back here with 0 cold. So it's better to do that than to have campfires or something. Also, a really big helper out with this is to have a party to help you find mine shafts and things. You can have up to 8 people total in the party, so it will make finding mine shafts a lot easier, and you'll be able to loot a lot more corpses that way and find a lot more scraps. So highly recommend doing this with a group. Another easy trick is to actually use a royal pigeon. If you go into the mines and then you complete one of your commissions, you cannot actually contact anyone with the Abbey phone because there's no reception here. But you can still use a royal pigeon to grab all of your commissions and complete those. So if you're already at this point and you no longer have your royal pigeon, or you misplaced it, or you gave it to the queen, you can warp to the gold mines and go over to the janitor and buy a new one. It's only 10,000 coins, so definitely worth it. Very helpful. Next, we're going to go over all the fairy soul locations. So I'll type the coords in chat, but I'm also going to show you the actual locations and how to walk there. So here we go. Start off with Dr. Stone here. Right next to her, there is one hidden under the stairs. There are actually 3 total in these rooms, like not in the mine shafts, but there is one that is in the mine shafts, and it looks like this. Shout out to Sir for giving me this image. But this is the Vanguard room. So this right here is the hardest corpse to find, and this room in general is the hardest room to get. So it can be a little bit of a pain, but honestly, I grinded this for 21 hours, and probably 10% of the rooms that I got were this room. So hopefully you won't have too much of an issue grinding this out, but this is just a chance when you find a mine shaft, you'll possibly find this room and there's a fairy soul in there. It won't always give you the text in your chat when you find the fairy soul, but as long as you click on it, you should be okay. Now, the other 2 fairy soul locations, there are 2 more. We will go ahead and go through here. So I can't remember the exact name of the locations, but the first one is here at the Glacite Lake. So right over here is the Glacite Lake. As long as you have a tool with breaking power 9, you can break this Glacite. And if you're Heart of the Mountain 7, you should have one of those. You'll also need 1 Super Boom TNT. So you break down into the Glacite area, and then right here behind you there will be this little wall that you can blow up with some TNT, and then you go in, and this is the first fairy soul right there. And the location of this area is called the Glacite Lake, and it is at -5.5, 132, 390. So make sure to come grab this soul. Then the other one is actually very close to this, so just right up here, there's an aquamarine area up here, and back on this back wall, you can teleport up here, and there's a little hidden area back here that you can go into. You will have to break through this Glacite, so again, you're going to need a tool with breaking power 9, and after you break through everything, there is a little soul here at the back. So the coordinates of the entrance to this spot is 110, 160, 387. And while we're talking about coordinates, I figure you'll probably want to know the coordinates of all of the gemstones. You don't really need the coordinates of like the umber or the Glacite or the tungsten because they're pretty much everywhere. There is some special rooms that you can go to that have like all 3 of these in one area, but generally you're closer to them at other areas. So we'll just go over the waypoints. So right here, if you want to pause the video, is the locations of the base. There's a couple locations for some aqua, which aqua 2 and 3, there's just 2 separate entrances to that room. And then there's 2 locations for citrine, 2 locations for peridot, 2 for onyx. So all the locations are right here on the XYZ right there. So you can add these to your own waypoints if you like. So if you're ever looking for any of these specific gemstones, you'll know where to find them. And generally, I like to stick around this one specific area. So right here close to the entrance, there is this aqua one. So I'd go here mainly. And then there's a spot over here where Paradox and Onyx are both at. So whenever I was doing these, I would stick around these. And then Citrine has a spot right here. So these 3 gemstones are like very, very close to each other. So Aquamarine is the one that's kind of a pain to get, because then you have to teleport all the way back over here, and it just takes a little bit to get to. Especially if you're using your mining speed boost, you probably won't get it off on here in time, but definitely a good one to go for. The next tip is to actually level some pets as you're doing these commissions. It takes like over 1,000 commissions to actually get from Heart of the Mountain 7 to Heart of the Mountain 10 if you're not just doing dailies. So the amount of XP you can get from that is actually crazy. When I started at Heart of the Mountain 7, my mining XP was at 82 million. I'm now at 154 million, so I leveled up a ton of pets to level 100 because of this. So I highly recommend doing the same. If you have some mining pets, great, those will be leveled up super quickly. If you have some other ones that you want to level, that works as well. I leveled like a blue whale, a lion pet, a baby yeti, a bunch of other things. So highly recommend leveling pets as you're claiming your commissions, because every single commission is 25,000 mining XP plus the XP you got from actually mining and getting the materials. So highly recommend doing that. Some of them are 20k, some of them are 15k, so they're not all 25k, but generally the ones that are collect items, that's the one you'll be doing the most. Those give 25,000 mining XP, so they're pretty powerful, and they'll level up super quickly. Next up is the fossil excavator tip. I might make a full video on this, so let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But basically, there are some specific shapes that you can get with these, and based on the percentage that you find up here will be which fossil it actually is. So remind me if I haven't put a link to this in the description, but these are all the 8 fossil shapes. So the spine, I believe, is the Spinosaurus, the footprint is the T-Rex, the webbed is the penguin, the helix is the ammonite, of course, the tusk is the mammoth, the claw would be the ankylosaurus, the ugly is the goblin, or the claw is actually the mole, and the clubbed is the ankylosaurus, and then the ugly is the goblin. Yeah, it shows them all right down here. So you can notice based on how many squares are in these, which ones are going to be the hardest to get. To get the ugly for the goblin is super duper difficult right now, because a lot of people don't have the upgraded version of the chisel, so they only have 16 charges. And as you can see here, the ugly has 16 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there's 10 in total, 14 in total, and then 16. So if you miss a single one on the ugly, you're not getting it. So this is definitely the hardest one to get, and the price shows. If you look up ugly right now, there's not too many of them on there, and they're 125 million a piece at the moment after 24 hours since the update came out. So the other fossils have kind of calmed down quite a bit. Webbed are 10 mil now, whereas they were like 80 mil when they first dropped. So some will be easier to find. Webbed is one of the easier ones. If you get one of the fossils opened, it will have a percentage on it. So here, I'll show real quick. And oftentimes you will get fossils that don't have anything in them. That is very likely, but they can also have some of the new book enchants in there. So if we look for paleontologist, I got one of these books earlier, and it sold for like 70 million coins. So if you can get your hands on one of these, you will be chilling. But here we are. So we have a fossil dust with 7.7% excavation process. So if we take that number and divide 100 by that number, so 100 divided by 7.7 is 12.98, so basically 13. So whichever fossil we are looking for here has 13 spots open in it. So let's take a look. Which one has 13? This one has 13 right here. So the footprint has 13. I don't think any of the other ones will have the same number. The helix has 14. The spine has 12. The webbed has 10. The claw has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so the claw has 13 as well. Footprint and claw both have 13. The tusk only has 8. Clubbed has 11. And the ugly has 16. So we're either here with the claw or the footprint. So we're going to try to figure out which one of these it is. So let's go right next to it. Okay, I'm thinking it's the footprint, but let's go down one more. Okay, It is not down one more. We can only afford to miss like 4 things here, so let's try to make the most of it. Let's go up 1. Okay, I can only afford to miss 2 more. And actually, if it's not above or under, it cannot be the footprint, because the footprint is 3 wide, so if it were sideways, it wouldn't be like that. And it doesn't fit if it's up or down. So it must be the claw, and this is like this part right here is what I'm thinking. So we need to figure out if it's up here or down below 1. So we're gonna check here first. It is. Okay, so then we can figure out where everything is from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. We got the whole thing because we knew what the shapes were. So if you know the shapes, you can kind of figure it out on your own after that. And so because of our knowledge of the shapes, we now got a claw fossil, which does, by the way, drop from the crystal nucleus runs, but that is 18 million coins, and we only had to spend 4 mil on a suspicious scrap to get it. So we just made 14 mil profit, basically. Now we can use this claw fossil and give it to Dr. Stone and go ahead and get some SkyBlock XP, some Glacite powder as well. Or we can warp over to the forage, and we can go ahead and make a mole pet, because you don't actually need to have given her the claw for the mole pet. Same thing for the ammonite pet, I believe, right here. Yep. But all the other pets, you all have had to find their specific fossils and given them to Dr. Stone before you can forage them. So if you're on Iron Man, you'll need to find 2 of the same type of fossil before you can actually get the pet for it, unless it is the claw, which is for the mole, or the helix, which is for the ammonite. And if you are on Iron Man, I highly recommend waiting until you've crafted the highest version of the chisel. It gives a base charge of 22. So if you miss a couple times, it is a lot easier to find fossils. It is, again, pretty expensive to get this upgrade. It costs 2 tungsten plates, 2 umber plates, a bejeweled handle, then a mithril plate, 8 Glacite amalgamations and a bejeweled handle, and a perfect plate and a bejeweled handle. So 3 bejeweled handles and a lot of plates. So it is pretty expensive, but it will be worth it. Now we've got one final tip, which is the fastest way for you guys to actually spawn in one of the mine shafts, and that is actually by mining this mithril here. So if you mine mithril, it is the fastest block to break, and the only requirement for spawning a mine shaft is that you break an ore. And there you go, right off the bat we've already got one. So we're gonna go ahead and enter right here. Boom. So then once you're in, you definitely want to use a drill, or specifically a gemstone gauntlet, to hit these guys, because they take a ton of damage from pickaxes, and you would like to use the gemstone gauntlet just because this is the only mining tool that you can actually put a looting enchant on. So you'll get a lot more drops this way, so highly recommend doing that. And these guys can drop a new power stone, so it doesn't sell for a ton of money, but there it is, 187 magic find, and it's, you know, a free 400,000 coins for us. So definitely recommend using a gemstone gauntlet for this. And then when you're inside of these tunnels, you can spawn in these suspicious scraps, which, you know, if you get one, that's a free 4 mil, or if you want to risk it like we did earlier, then get a chance at making some more money, you know, feel free to do that as well. But you can hit tab as well and see what kind of corpses are in here. So there's two corpses. There's 1 lapis and 1 umber. So we're going to try and find the lapis one. I do not have keys for the umber, so there he is. I don't have a key for him. So if we can get a key, that would be great. The corpses do have a chance to drop keys, I believe. It's pretty slim though, so we're not going to count on it happening. Let's see. Is he in here? Yes, he is. Voila. We got an enchanted tungsten, a fine onyx gemstone, and some rough aquamarine. So that wasn't a great pull, but if we could get one that has some gemstone powder in it, that would be great. But again, you don't really want to mine the Glacite here. The only reason that I did that on stream earlier was because I'm trying to max out the collection. But if you want the best chance at getting scraps, of course, then you're definitely going to want to just mine whatever is fastest. So if there's gold in it, which the Vanguard room has gold, that room with the fairy soul that I showed you earlier, it does have gold, so I do recommend mining all of that out. And these gray blocks do count as gold or mithril depending on what they're close to, but mithril is second fastest, which will be in most of the rooms, so definitely focus on the mithril first, and then whatever gemstone is there, or if it's a tungsten or umber room, it doesn't really matter too much. I think tungsten and umber break at about the same speed as Glacite, really, so you can focus on those if you want to, but it's not going to make too much of a difference between that and Glacite. So really just focus on whatever's going to break the fastest. So gold first, mithril second, whatever gemstone is there next, and then Glacite, umber, or tungsten. But again, you're still not guaranteed to actually get any drops, of course. I wish it were that easy, but it's not. But again, doing this with a party will definitely help you spawn more mine shafts and give you a better chance at getting scraps. So I highly recommend doing this with a group. You cannot teleport in here, but you can actually use a grappling hook if you have one. The grappling hook does work inside this area, and so does I believe the silk sword from the spider collection. Let me look it up. Yeah, right here, the silk edge sword or the leaping sword, either way. Those do work in here as well. So if you want to spend a little bit more money on your mobility in here, or you have those just lying around, then those can help out a little bit too. But I don't think they make too much of a difference compared to the grappling hook, which is just the cheaper option. So a lot of people will have 2 of those leaping swords so that they can swap without having the cooldown. So one of the leaping swords and then one of the silk edge swords, so your cooldown doesn't get reset with it. But personally, I think the grappling hook covers it pretty well. You cannot throw ender pearls in this room, but you can actually build with hardstone. So if you want to do that too, you can build to get up to something that's higher up that you wanted to reach. But if you want to mine the Glacite first, that's what I've been doing, because it does make a lot of money. And what do you know, there's a suspicious scrap for us. Nice. But it does make a lot of money, as in once you get your collection maxed, there are a lot of things that you will be able to forage that the majority of the server is not able to forage. So if you grind it out enough and get it done fast enough, then it can be worth it in the long run. But it does take a very long time, so you're less likely to get scraps here, so it will make less money now, but you're not like completely unlikely to get scraps. I've gotten plenty of scraps by doing this strategy, so whatever works for you. But I highly recommend trying to get out before you die. So whenever the frostbite message shows up right there, I generally try to head for the exit to wherever it is, which I believe it's back here. Yep, you can see the name tag from pretty far away. But you want to try to get back there before you die, because if you leave before you die, you get an extra 1,000 mithril powder or Glacite powder, so that really does help out. Plus, there is a lot that you can mine like right here at the exit, so I recommend leaving that for right before you leave. So we've got a couple seconds to mine and hopefully get another scrap before we leave. But you definitely want to leave at around 98 or 99 cold, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Because if you get to 100, then you're dead. So don't wait too long. And that is definitely the best way to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe. It really does help out. I've got more videos coming out on the foraging update design thread and some other things, as well as the alpha server, which is currently open. So make sure to stay tuned for that. I'll see you all in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.